The Permanency Innovations Initiative, PII, an example of building evidence in child welfare. In recent years, there has been a growing federal and state interest in using evidence to inform programs and policy, known as evidence-based policymaking. The Administration for Children and Families, or ACF, is leading many such efforts. According to Naomi Goldstein, ACF's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Planning, Research, and Evaluation, it is ACF's policy to integrate both use of existing evidence and opportunities for further learning into all our activities. Where an evidence base is lacking, we build evidence through strong evaluations. Where evidence exists, we use it. ACF's Permanency Innovations Initiative, or PII, is a 5-year presidential initiative led by the Children's Bureau. PII includes 6 grantees whose work is adding to the body of evidence in child welfare. PII offers a flexible, stepwise approach that is one way to build evidence.
James Bell, the Senior Advisor for the PII Evaluation Team from James Bell Associates, will be speaking next.
It is possible to break the process of building evidence down into steps that can be managed in the context of implementation science, technical assistance and support, and more importantly, in the context of the agendas and unique situations of the agencies that are trying to bring about change and test change. We can't jump from an idea that has been developed at a local level all the way to a very rigorous evaluation. We need to go through steps and stages to reach that, and we need to be careful and be able to revise our expectations, be able to carefully consider each of the decisions along the way, be willing to change what we really expected in the beginning in order to achieve the goal of finding an intervention that serves a certain population in a way that improves their outcomes.
Displayed on the screen is a graphic depicting the PII approach. The graphic is in the shape of a pyramid with a wide part at the bottom and narrowing at the top. The pyramid is divided into 5 levels. The first level is exploration and installation, and the second level is implementation and evaluation. The second level has 3 subcategories of initial implementation, formative evaluation, and usability testing. The third level is divided into 2 parts, full implementation and summative evaluation. The fourth level is labeled replication and adaptation. The fifth and final level is called broad-scale rollout. There is an arrow on each side of the pyramid pointing from the first level at the bottom up to the 5th level at the top. The arrow on the left is labeled sustainability, and the arrow on the right is labeled dissemination. Matt McGuire, the PII Federal Project Officer at the Children's Bureau, will be speaking next.
Some of the value in an initiative like PII can be seen in the way it's emphasized the principles of evidence-based policymaking. Principles like funding programs that show the best available evidence of past success, investing in program implementation, rigorously evaluating those programs, and being flexible enough to make changes where the evidence shows that we're not getting to the desired outcome.
This approach, known as the PII Approach, provides a framework to apply 4 principles of evidence-based policymaking that have been described by Dr. Ron Haskins.
Displayed on the screen is a graphic listing the 4 principles of evidence-based policymaking as Mr. McGuire is speaking. The 4 principles are, number 1, choose programs with the best available evidence. Number 2, invest in program implementation. Number 3, rigorously evaluate outcomes using randomized controlled trials. And number 4, change or replace programs based on the evidence. Dr. Ron Haskins, a senior fellow at Brookings Institution and the co-chair of the U.S. Commission on Evidence-Based Policymaking, will be speaking next.
The PII project follows all the other steps of evidence-based policy, this 4-step model. It is the only federal program that I know about that not only follows all those steps, but also has been studied throughout that period. I expect we're going to learn a lot from it. The PII program is one of the best examples we have because implementation is where we're really falling down. You can have a perfect model that is powerful and produces all kinds of effects. And if it's not well implemented, it is not going to have impacts. It won't work.
Catherine Heath, the Child and Family Program Specialist at the Children's Bureau, will be speaking next.
I believe our culture of evidence has changed with PII in the fact that we know that we can do this work. We know that government must play a role in building the evidence base. The work that we are doing through PII causes us to take a step back and think through how do we actually fund our grants. Specifically from the PII example, I learned that it's really important if we have very limited evidence base that we give grantees the space to be able to do the work during a planning phase. In a recent project that I worked at with the Children's Bureau, we were able to give grantees a 2-year planning phase, and then after that planning phase, we funded a subset of those grants who had the capacity to do the work going forward, so to actually implement the intervention. This was directly a response to what we learned from PII.
Dr. Ron Haskins will be speaking again.
So we need to change the culture of evidence, and I honestly believe that the social function of social science is to improve in all these areas, to create more opportunity for people in America. I think that's the primary goal. And we are not going to do it until we adopt some method of learning more about the programs that we can devise and implement aggressively and then spread. Do all those things until we have a much stronger culture of evidence. That's what you're doing in PI. I think it's one of the most complete examples because it covers every phase, and we need to do a lot more of that.
Dr. Mark Testa, a principal investigator for the PI evaluation team at the University of North Carolina School of Social Work, will be speaking next.
And I think the growing acceptance of evidence-based policymaking across the political spectrum is indicative of a changing culture in child welfare, one that prioritizes evidence over intuition, values, even practice wisdom.
PI is one real-world example of evidence-based policymaking. With PI, we are shifting the culture of evidence in child welfare. For more information about PI, visit the Children's Bureau website at www.acf.hhs.gov/cb. This video was created under JBS International Incorporated contract number HHSP 23320095638WC, funded by the Children's Bureau, Administration for Children and Families, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The views expressed in this video do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the Children's Bureau, the Office of Planning, Research and Evaluation, the Administration for Children and Families, or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.